Okay, so this will be part 12 of the Garden of Eden in Galilee series. And now we're going to talk about something very important, the land of Edom. Where is the land of Edom? And also the city of Kadesh, where they spied the land of Israel. According to my findings, and if you remember, we discussed this in the article, where is Jerusalem and Sodom and Gomorrah, you saw that Judah's northern border in the book of Joshua chapter 15 hits Edom on the north side of Judah. In other words, the land of Judah goes around Edom. It goes around Edom. And we already discussed that Jerusalem should be the city of Tzfat, and it goes down Nachal Amud and hits Edom to the west, meaning the Galilee is divided into the upper Galilee, the higher mountains, and the lower Galilee, the lower mountains. So it's my theory that the lower Galilee is the land of Edom. That's the theory. And we know Judah's border goes around Edom to the north, and we know that when they were in Kadesh and they wanted to cross into the land from Kadesh, and we know Kadesh is a city in Israel, so they were already technically in Israel, in the southern border. Why did they need to ask Edom to cross into his land to get to Israel if they were already in Israel? The theory that Edom is in Petra makes no geographical sense with this story of crossing Edom to get to the land of Canaan. It makes no sense whatsoever. So we can conclude that the lower Galilee is Edom, and according to my findings, Kadesh is the river Tabor, which comes from Mount Tabor in the Galilee, also called the Mountain of Mountains because it's a very unique mountain in the lower Galilee. It's just one hill. You don't see anything like it in the whole of Galilee, nothing like Mount Tabor. Very, very unique mountain. And so basically they were in Nachal Tabor, Edom was in the lower Galilee, and they needed to cross his land to get into Canaan, which is the upper Galilee. Do you understand the geography now? Okay. Further evidence of this is found in Genesis chapter 36. Genesis chapter 36, we have a very large range of bloodlines. It talks about the bloodline of Edom, it talks about the bloodline of the Horites, and it also talks about the bloodline of the tribe of Shem before the Horites were in the land of Canaan. And if you pay attention to Anna, the daughter of Aholibama, it's the same Anna, daughter of Aholibama, that's in Edom's line to the Horites. And this proves that the Horites are essentially the Hivites, which are a tribe of Canaan. And since Edom took the land of the Hivites, this proves Edom lived in the land of Canaan. That was his portion of Israel given. That was his portion. He was given Mount Seir in the land of Israel, which is the lower Galilee. That was Edom's portion. Okay, so it was very important we covered that. And that's it. That's what I wanted to talk about. The fact that that's where the land of Edom is, the lower Galilee. And Judah had land around Edom to the north, and Simon had land in Beersheba, which is Gan HaShlosha, Sachna in Hebrew. And so Simon was essentially cut off from the rest of Israel. Most of the tribes were dwelling in the upper Galilee, not the lower Galilee. Edom was in the Lower Galilee, and the tribes were dwelling in the Golan Heights and the Upper Galilee, and Simon was completely cut off. Why was Simon cut off from the rest of the tribes? It all goes back to the raping of Dinah, when Simon and Levi killed all the men in the city of Shechem. It's against Torah to murder. You're not allowed to murder unless someone's trying to murder you. And what we learn in the story is that Shechem really loved Dinah. He wanted to marry her. He was willing to get circumcised to marry her. I know a lot of people interpret this as rape. What happened was not rape. He simply had relations with her before marriage. But he did want to marry her, and he did want to circumcise. So he did the right thing. And not just him, the entire city became circumcised just so he could marry Dinah. And Simon and Levi were offended because he had relations with her before marriage, which is not allowed. But if you do it, you have to pay a penalty to the father, and then you're allowed to marry the daughter. That's how it works in the Torah. So they were willing to pay the penalty, and Simon and Levi killed all the men of the city of Shechem, and this is why Jacob essentially cursed Simon and Levi. And this goes back to the fact that the chosen part of Israel, the tribe of Levi, was not Levi, son of Jacob, because he was cursed. He was cursed. So he disappeared. He stopped having sons. He only had daughters. And a man from the tribe of Ephraim essentially re-established the tribe of Levi, but they're actually from Ephraim. Not to get carried away from the topic, because we're talking about Simon. If you notice in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33, Simon has no blessing. There's no blessing, there's no curse, there's just nothing. This teaches us that Simon eventually disappeared. And because he was cut off from the rest of Israel, if enemy nations started attacking Israel, Simon was left by himself, essentially. So that's probably how he became wiped out. And Levi was also wiped out because of the sin of murder with the city of Shechem. And it's all connected. Simon, Levi, Edom, it's all connected. Okay.